The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the kids jingle belling and everyone telling you be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
All right, Christmas has come early, everybody. Nick Draper here with this week's 9 Years podcast, and joining me, making his glorious return to the podwaves, Mr. Stuart Deakins. Stu, how was Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, for the 41st time?
I have to say, do you know what? I listened back when I was flying over to Tenerife on Thursday morning, and I was like, oh, 1 second. Nick's done some audio tricks, and I was thinking, oh, this is quite clever, and then realised it was at my expense. So thank you, guys.
Oh, I've forgotten I'd done that.
Yeah, it was quite clever. I did laugh. I did chuckle to myself.
You have to admit that was great podcasting.
Yes. I was thinking to myself, what could I possibly have said to stitch myself up? And then suddenly thought, quite a bit.
Quite a lot, to be honest with you. It wasn't so much a trial finding things for you to say, it was a trial deciding which ones to leave out.
I bet.
We got the job done. Anyway, this week, well, there's no football this week to speak of, for us at least. But there is plenty of other goings on. We will be talking about the signing, the finally over-the-line signing of the S106 agreement, the Tottenham ticket situation, Alexa Bliss, of course, and the week ahead with the visit of league-leading Wigan Athletic on Saturday. But first, Stu, not that it bothered you, because you were in the theatre, but Bury, what happened there? Game pulled off, postponed, or called off, one or the other, not pulled off. Certainly not that, actually. Oh, wow, we've gone south very quickly.
That's the new one altogether, that one, isn't it?
Well, yes. So let's get this back on track. Game was called off, about midday? I think I got the message through about midday, and it was for frozen pitch and what have you. But, of course, come about 1:30, pitch would have been absolutely fine and playable, and the game could have gone ahead. Do you have any sympathy at all with the referee, bearing in mind there's no real winner in this situation, because if the game could have been called off at 8 a.m, he would have called it off at 8 a.m. After that, you're sort of caught in a bit of a no man's land, because it's too late for travelling fans not long after that. So you're sort of in a catch-22 situation. If you're going to make a decision, what you don't want to do is string people along until 2:45, only for them to find out that actually, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, you normally go, so normally if the game's in doubt, you normally can get a local referee to have a quick look at the pitch. The information from Bury is a bit sketchy. So their Twitter feed early on said it looks okay, for they didn't see any immediate problems. So does that mean they had a local referee in, or does it mean that that was just from what they could see? There was no real bad bits. But yeah, to get called off about 12 o'clock and then subsequently go into the fact of going to the ground, and there was obviously others. So I think we had one of our lot. George went into the ground, and he didn't realise the game had been called off. Bless him. He did, but he just wanted to go in there and look around, as George does. But you see a pitch that's got no snow in it. Of course, no one went on there and put a stud on there and, could you stand up and stuff. But it was the only game that was done in the air. It was the only game that was lost in the league. There was a few other Manchester games. You just wonder whether the referee could just give himself a bit more time. Did it make any difference being called off at 12 to being called off at quarter to 1, 1:30? And that's so you have to wonder: did he look at match reports, or did he just not fancy it?
I don't think. I think that's what it is. He just didn't fancy it. It was too cold. He thought, do you know what? Screw this. And he probably thought at that moment in time that a lot of games would also be called off around the local area. And in fact, it was only Accrington Stanley in the end that was. So he probably thought he'd get away with it. Unfortunately, he hasn't. Referee Eddie Ilderton, he has been rested this weekend. So I think that tells the story, doesn't it?
Rested. Another way of putting it now. You're going to be rested this weekend. You're rubbish. That's what we do. Our squad now, don't we?
No, Liam Trotter plays every week. But he has a rest on the pitch, you see.
Oh, dear. I'll give you within the first 10 minutes a Trotter reference.
I know, he didn't even play, but I still had to get a little jibe in it. Our good friend of the show, Liam Trotter. But, yeah, I think the only other thing was somebody mentioned that pitch covers had been taken off the pitch, obviously, hence they are pitch covers.
Well done, yeah.
Yes, they had been taken off maybe a tad early from the Bury ground staff, and had they remained on a little bit, or in fact, if they'd have stayed on past 1 o'clock even, it probably would have made the referee double think or think twice about his decision.
So, yeah, well, someone's made a muck up. That's basically bottom line, isn't it? Because I imagine Bury don't want to lose a game this close to Christmas because, one, they've got to reschedule it in for probably a midweek game, so you might potentially lose revenue that way. And you've got a crowd, by then you've already got programmes printed, you've got catering teams coming in, so you don't want a game to be lost because it's going to cost them money, isn't it? So I can't believe, you'd hope that Bury are experienced enough not to have made them sort of errors. But hey, something along the lines happened with the referee being rested. I suppose you can probably see read between the lines where the problem was.
It's a good point you make, though, because although it's very frustrating and annoying and irritating for our fans who travelled up on the day, you could argue, in fact, I will argue, in fact, I will just say that in terms of the clubs, the two respective clubs, probably harms them more than it does us. It was probably a better decision for us than them. You're thinking they've got a new manager in charge, home game, they're on an up. Having the game perhaps pushed back into the new year might do us a little bit of favour. In terms of getting a result, obviously there are other considerations. Travelling and accommodation costs for ourselves is going to be a big one. I don't know what happens with compensation there and if anyone's liable for that, if the league pitch in or something like that. But I think in terms of purely a footballing result-wise, I don't think it was the worst thing for us.
No. You look at our fixture list, and I'm sure we'll go through it one of the podcasts in the next few weeks. Look at our fixture list. We've got a lot of games. That week, and also they had their Christmas. We believe they had their Christmas party up in Manchester. You say you believe. I know they did because I've seen pictures of them on Instagram. And believe it or not, I did see Liam Trotter moving around the dance floor. And when he did that, I was thinking, if only Nick could see that, it would be proven that Liam Trotter can get a move on. I
don't believe that for 1 second.
Leave Liam alone, right? Say, what's the word? We have to do some sort of hashtag. I haven't got a problem with Liam Trotter, do you know what I mean? I don't think he does it deliberately. And by all accounts, he has played well recently. Controversial.
Well, you say by all accounts. Not my account.
No, but your account is... You're not going to like him, are you?
Hey, look, I would love him to turn up against Wigan on Saturday and be man of the match and score goals, assist goals, maybe even pass the ball forward occasionally. It just got to do it. I praised him at half-time of the Walsall game. I praised him.
Through gritted teeth.
No, I was more than happy because I was thinking, great, he's actually played all right. And that was just, he went backwards in that second half. He really did. Anyway, the listeners are bored of me talking about Liam Trotter, but you know what? They've been bored about me talking about wrestling in Luton Town for over 100 episodes, so tough. Just
what
put
changes?
up with it. If you don't like it, just don't listen. It's fine.
That's it. Upset the listeners.
I'm going to praise the listeners now because we had some great three-word reports for the postponement on Saturday. We did ask for three-word reports for a game that didn't actually take place. Normally we read through our favourite of these, but just pick ones that come to really fly out at me. So Bob Wales at the Grump 64, not Mary Berry. It's a cake reference there because if there's one thing our Wimbledon Twitter at the moment needs, it's cake references. Below the top league at Tier 2 footy, bloody soft Northerners. Very good. I was getting a bit annoyed with all this cold weather recently and all these Twitter and Facebook memes saying that, Northerners, big snow coming, freezing conditions, Northerners, put a jumper on, Southerners give up, stay at home for 3 days, you can't cope. You know what I mean? It's like, come on. It was the South that won the war. We can cope with a bit of snow. That might be a lie. SW19 Womble at SW19_Womble. Darius Charles, cheers. We must mention Darius Charles and his £150 donation to a group of fans at a Manchester pub. Possibly assisted by the fact that his missus was amongst them.
yeah, do you know what? We've got a lot of time for Lisa. She's a lovely lady. But let's be fair, he was playing in a local park and she was with a couple of her mates and the group, which are a good group of lads, but I think it was great by Darius Charles. I don't know whether it was just him or whether it was a group of them, but it's nice. But yeah, Lisa was there as well, so there was a bit of a story behind it.
And I'm guessing they all stayed up of their own accord. If they had their Christmas party, do you reckon they paid for that? Just totally music here. Because I was just thinking accommodation that I mentioned earlier and the price of that and things like that. But the players, if they were staying up in Manchester for their Christmas party, surely they have to. That comes out of their own pockets, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would have thought so. I would have thought the club would pay for them to get the coach up. It really depends who stayed. Yeah. To be honest with you, I don't really have a major issue with Christmas parties. I think they happen all the time, as long as they're scheduled in properly. They don't normally have it up in Manchester. They tend to come back to London quite a bit, but in a way, they probably. You wonder whether someone had a number to the referee going, "Hey, we've got a Christmas party tonight. We could have a little bit of a kick around in the park, and we can go and get to the Christmas party earlier." Maybe that happened. Maybe I'm just stretching the truth.
Maybe so, but no. Oh, yeah, I have to say, by the way, absolutely no issue at all with this Christmas party. I know we had the famous one a couple of years back, which had all sorts of ramifications, but no, of course not. We don't have any issues. It's not like the players aren't putting a shift in on the pitch, is it? Results have been great.
No.
We're not accusing anyone except for Liam Trotter of a lack of effort.
But from all the pictures that I've seen, it was a very low-key affair. Christmas jumpers were some were really shocking. Darius Charles was the funniest one out of it all. But I think Darius Charles is the sort of gentleman that can pull any uniform off.
I wondered where that was going.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to,
my heart was in my mouth for a second there.
But I think, Joe, what, you could chuck a bin bag on Darius Charles and he'll still come up some of the roses, you know what I mean? But they were just...
Sorry, what? You can chuck a bin bag on Darius Charles and it can still come up smelling of roses.
Oh, he will. Yeah,
is that even a thing?
No, I've just put two things together, really, haven't I, on that one? But it's good to see Kwesi Appiah joining in. I noticed what I did notice, there was the ones that I saw was Instagram was often one of the youngsters. I think it might be Egli Kaja. And you had all the younger lot up there, so Alpha Egan and Toby Sibic and that. And it was funny, they looked like they were a little bit like not too sure what to do. Should they be out with the boys? Should they behave themselves? But by all accounts, they had a good time. It was good to see Kwesi Appiah. Hopefully he's close to coming back into the squad. And let them enjoy themselves. You know, team bonding that's what it is at the moment. It's about getting that team bonding together, fighting for each other on the pitch, and you'd be amazed how far it can go.
I really want to see Alfie Egan, Egli Kaja, Toby Sibic, Nesset Belikli in the In-Betweeners 3.
Yeah.
The AFC Wimbledon version. That's got to be what that is.
Yeah. I sort of think to myself thinking of Saturday United giving him sort of a day off so he can go up to Manchester because obviously he's a loan at Saturday United, isn't it? So
yes.
It looks like they might have done him a favour there and said, go and enjoy yourself with your team.
Which is very nice of them.
Or you won't get on the bench and you might as well go and enjoy yourself.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of going to enjoy yourself, 2 more 3-word reports. So these are on Twitter fairly regularly, that we do after games. So at 9 Wireless Podcast, hashtag Don's 3-word report. Carlo Rossi at Don's Fan 72. He went for Stu, Trotter's best game. It's not just me.
Oh, come on. He ain't that bad.
He didn't put a foot wrong. He did not put a foot wrong.
I'm going to stick up for the guy.
Okay. And finally, T92 AFC Wimbledon. It's a polls account at T92 AFC Wimbledon, surprisingly enough. Ref went shopping. The reason I like this one is because there were a number of our fans that were stuck up in Manchester for the day. They had trains booked and what have you. You know, the trains are very funny at the moment with having to use the exact train that you're booked on, all those sorts of things, which is a bit harsh on certain occasions. But some of them went to watch FC United of Manchester, which... I'm going to be honest, fair play if that's what they wanted to do. Absolutely, that's your decision. It's not a club that I particularly am bothered by. So I'm just thinking, do what the ref would have done, as has been suggested here by this 3-word report. You're in Manchester at Christmas. Best place in the world to be at Christmas. So do some shopping, go and see the Christmas market, have a good day out in Manchester. Well, that's what I'd have done. But of course I wasn't there. I was at home. So
yeah,
this is a moot point.
I've done the same thing, but I was actually sunbathing when that comes through about the game being off, which was the most ironic. It was quite funny. It's like, whether it be snow or whatever, I don't think they gave official reason why the game got called off. But I was literally sweating on the sunbed. It was so hot. Really weird. Just
like to point out at this juncture that when I went to WrestleMania, I travelled all the way to Orlando. I think travelling to Tenerife to see Priscilla Queen in the Desert is just pushing it too far, really. I'm sure you can go up to uptown, London town and see it, but I've not seen the schedule. I've not seen when it's on, to be honest with you. I should consult with you more often. That probably brings all the Berry things up to date.
All the football talk out of the way.
Yeah, well, we've still got some League One stuff to talk about because the rest of League One, everyone else except for Bury and ourselves played. So, of everyone else, who do you think had the best result of the League One weekend?
So I think the standout one is the Bristol Rovers beating Southend. Usually, if you think we went to Bristol Rovers and beat them 3-1, Southend have just got this sort of game in their locker, haven't they? They're a team at the moment that just tend to fall to pieces a lot of times.
Well, do you know that you noticed that they've not lost at home this season, but their away record is just shocking.
Yeah, and Bristol Rovers, we know we went there by all accounts. You score one goal and it's game over because the Bristol Rovers crowd are on their back and stuff like that. The Southend have just got this game. It's never against us, mind you, but they've always got this sort of game around the corner to where they can just fall to pieces. But I have to say for Bristol Rovers, that's a great result for them considering their recent form. Yeah,
I think they've won 2 on the bounce now, haven't they, in League One? So they've recovering after that really dodgy run they went on. I think we have to give a shout out to Warsaw as well.
Yeah.
They were on a great run of form and had a great win as well. They beat Scunthorpe, didn't they, on the weekend? So fair play to them.
Yeah, I'd say Scunthorpe scored goals. I think their manager was on the record saying that they haven't really seen anyone come to Warsaw that's looked better than them or outplayed them and stuff like that. So it seems like they've got a bit of a good thing going. Obviously, I didn't see the game that we lost 2-1 to them recently, but when you've got a little Messi in the team, you've always got a chance, haven't you?
Yeah, the little Messi. When you say the little Messi,
yeah, I know you mean
the Turkish Messi.
Well, he's little Messi because he's even smaller than Messi, isn't he? Like Messi's probably towers over him, doesn't he?
I can't really think of anyone as being a little version of Messi.
He is a box of tricks.
They say with Oshachuma, by the way, that you can put a bin bag over him and he'll still come up smelling of roses.
Oi. Good little player, though. Good player that I'd love to sign Wimbledon. And the funny thing is, he started his career in non-league at Tottenham, didn't he? So
he did indeed.
Just shows you there's players that are around, just nobody can see them. That's the problem.
Worst result? I know you've said about Southend at Bristol Rovers. Does that then become your worst result, Southend?
Yeah. Do you know what? I know you laugh at this, but Northampton getting absolutely caned at Oldham is not a good result for them because they're just going down without a fight, aren't they?
Yeah, that was my one. That was my pick. So 11-5. I know Oldham are improving and what have you, but 5-1, come on.
It's just the games that, when you're down the bottom, you don't want to start getting caned by them, by them sort of scores because very quickly your confidence would go. But you have to think. I think Northampton probably will change their manager again after the transfer window or before it. I wouldn't be surprised to see a third manager in there this year. But they look like they're just falling to pieces, don't they?
Yes, as are Southend. Everyone's falling to pieces this week. It's all going wrong.
That's good.
And that's just the podcast. Hero of the week?
The hero of the week is, we're going to obviously go on and we're going to talk about it, but I thought I'd do a hero of the week would be the Dons Trust board and the Football Club board and all us fans getting the S106 finally over the hurdle. I think there's a lot of people that played a big part in it, and they're my heroes.
Yep, villain?
You?
Oh, sorry, Mike. Yes, sorry. Get myself carried away. Heroes of the week, the Sean Dyche and Roy Hodgson. Why? What connects those two managers, Stu?
Wow, I don't know. They're quite boring.
They're quite boring. Yeah. Heroes of the week, Sean Dyche and Roy Hodgson, because they're quite boring.
They're not great to listen to, are they?
Sean Dyche is all right, I think.
Yeah, when you can actually understand a word he said. After a game, you've got no chance of understanding a word he says.
He has got that sort of raspy.
But he has got Burnley into fourth place in the league I was really amazed at that because I'll be honest with you, this season I've not watched loads of Premiership football because I've just got bored with the predictability of that league. But I didn't realise Burnley were going in fourth place. That's ridiculous.
I have said quite often this season, actually, since we're going completely off topic here, but since Leicester won the league and we had that great season, it seems that what's happened now is it's gone back, as we would expect. The top six are the top six. They will probably be that way for quite a long time. They can just go now, as far as I'm concerned, because it's so boring. And Manchester City, I'm sorry, I don't share the journalists' love and admiration for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City. I find it boring because there's no competition to it, really. It's just very dull to watch them win every week. Personally.
Yeah, Joe, I watched the obviously Liverpool derby and Tenerife, as you do, in the sunshine. But I enjoyed the Liverpool game because I find Liverpool a team that I like to watch because they play with pace. They played an old style game, didn't they? A bit of pace and power. Man City, Man United, bored the hell out of me. Absolutely boring.
Well, talking about the Premier League as we were. So Sean Dyche and Roy Hodgson, what connects them to you, therefore, is that this week they both managed teams to wins over which other Premier League club?
Would that be Watford?
There we go. So,
yay!
well done to the English managers for beating Watford and their legion of foreign mediocre imports. Villain of the week?
Might have to be the Bury referee.
Yeah, of course,
No, it has to be, don't it? But he's done me a favour because I might finally get a chance to go to Bury on the 6th or 7th chance of going. So I'm going to make sure I do that in the new year when it's rearranged.
Good shout. I was really struggling because I thought you'd go for the Bury referee. I knew we'd talk about him at length on this week's show, so I was really struggling for a villain this week. I just went for George, just because.
George?
Yeah.
Just because of his hair?
Just because of his hair.
Yeah, so his hair is a villain.
Well, but his hair is controlled by him, so...
No, it's uncontrollable. You'd imagine he's so much stuff lost in his hair. Do you know what I mean? He's got things that he never realised he's got in his hair because there's just so much of it. Anyway.
That's a worrying thought. I'm not going to pull at that thread anymore, to be honest with you.
You're listening to these fine gentlemen and their new song, One Horse Town. Available now on iTunes and Spotify.
Good news then, the S106 has finally, as you just referenced a little bit earlier, finally got it over the line. It's been almost, well, I don't want to say 2 years coming because it's not, but we've been waiting for this S106 quite a while. Now, we were told, when were we told? It was just before I went back to school, so that would have been the end of August. We were hoping, or Eric said at a Don's Trust meeting, the very last week of August, he hoped that by the end of September, at the very latest, the S106 would be done and dusted and we could start motoring on actually getting this stadium built. And it's taken until December the 13th for it finally to be announced. But announced it has been. Very, very good news, absolutely. And Stu, you've already praised everyone involved in making sure, and all the work that's gone in to making sure that the S106 has been signed and we can now progress. The only thing I'd say is, and I'm not being negative, it's going to come across as negative, but this is there's no real negative to this story, is there? So we've got to try and put some other, maybe make the listeners think a little bit differently about this. For me, when the news came through, it reminded me of when we won the CCL. Now, we won the CCL pretty much in September. There was still that great moment of celebration away at Walton Casuals, if you remember, when it was confirmed. And we were like, oh, wow, that's actually it, over the line, done, fantastic. Then we have to wait all the way to that final game of the season to actually collect the trophy. And when you actually get presented with the trophy and the players all jump up and down and lift and everything like that, it all feels a bit anticlimactic. It's like we're expressing joy that we've had or we've known about for a long, long time. And that's what this felt like a little bit. It was like, great, fantastic, but we knew it was coming. And the big celebration for me in all the stadium stuff has long since passed. It's going back to 2 years ago when we had the big meeting at the Civic Centre, didn't we? And the planning permission was granted. That, for me, was the sort of Walton Casuals moment, whereas this just Wednesday, just yesterday, if you're listening on the day of release of this podcast, was the Wallingford Trophy collection moment. We're kind of like, great, let's get on with things now. Do you know what I mean?
And I think that's what it is. I think what you just finished with is let's go on with things. That's the thing that I've come out of it, I think... I'd imagine for people like Eric and Mick Buckley and Ivor and all the ones that have had to go through all the fine language of it in a contract, and that S106 has obviously got a lot of stuff in there. It's a big booklet. I suppose for them, just seeing the signatures going on there and then being able to go, that's done. I imagine that's a big relief for the people, the main body of people that have been involved in it. So I can imagine for them it's a massive day. But you're right. We've always known it's going to be signed. We didn't see any. We didn't see that the S106 wouldn't be signed. We just was a case of when. I think the bigger days for me, or the most anticipation or reservation I had were, of course, when we went to the London Mayor and went to the council and those sort of things, because those were the things that it could have gone right. That's it, game over. Whereas I think we always knew that the 106 was going to be signed. It was just a case of when. It's now done. It's great. But for me, I now can't wait for the first brick to be built on Plough Lane and the building to start developing. That's for me, I think, when I will get my next rush of excitement.
I hope you get a little bit of excitement about something else before.
Well, it doesn't really happen on Saturdays at the moment, unfortunately, because we're not playing that great football. But it's a result business, so I can live with that. But yeah, do you know what? I'm going to be one of those sad people, which is probably not a surprise to people that know me very well.
What do you mean you're going to be?
Well, I'll be one of those people that's going to always. I've said to my wife already that every match day we'll be driving past Flower Lane just to make sure I can have a look and see how the progress is going. That's how sad I'm going to be. And I have no shame in telling people I'm going to do that because, I don't know, for me it's been, well, I've been a Wimbledon fan since 1990, so we left in 91. Yeah, it feels like a return home. I didn't think I was going to need to draw my pension when I returned back to Plough Lane, but it'll be worth the wait.
I can't believe that you first attended a Wimbledon game 4 years before I was born. But I do have to say, as well, I'm very, very impressed with how quickly you've taken to referring to Lorraine as your wife, considering it took you... I don't think you ever referred to her as your fiancée. It took you forever to get that one right.
Just call her the wife.
Yeah, it's just easy for you. But anyway, you've looked through... Oh, I've got to stop saying that word, by the way. Please, please, please.
What's that?
Well, I don't want to say it, because then I'll be saying it again. But anyone listening to this show regularly will know what word I am referring to. So, you've been... Yeah, yes. You've been very thorough in your research, actually, about the stadium and gone through the timeline for everything that's gone to get us to this point, and kind of do forget about lots of the pitfalls and potential roadblocks that we've had to overcome to get there. And it's quite a fascinating read, actually, to scroll through your list here that you've put together. I'm very impressed, you. I must say, it's so detailed, in fact, that you've even got the application reference number.
Yeah,
for the application.
I don't know why. I think what it was when you know, it feels like it's gone on for years, and it has.
It has.
You know,
that's
and
why
also
people listen.
December,
it's for insightful commentary like that.
You know, and December seems to be a favourite month for us as well because we actually on 11th December 2014 we put the application reference in. If we remember the year before that, we had the really successful Bring the Dons Home campaign. That was launched at the beginning of December 2013. And you have to remember, if you remember back then, I don't know about you, but I was going to my people at work going, please, can you just click on this? Can you just fill a survey in? Anything you can do. We had 5,000 clicks in under 100 hours. That was Charlie Talbot and Mark Jones who were involved in doing that. Who can forget, you know, back in 2 Ticks campaign?
Yep.
You know, there's so many things that happened. You know, I still remember watching online when the Merton Council, you know, was it a 10-0 win, if I remember correctly? Was it a 10-0 or was it 8-2? I'm trying to think now. 9-1?
It was unanimous, whatever it was.
You know, it was 10-0 now. It would be 10-0, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But I remember listening to the speeches from people we asked to speak on our behalf. You know, Eric, there was the lady from the school, the community thing, wasn't it?
The foundation, yeah. Yes, the foundation.
Yeah, foundation.
Wasn't that K?
Yeah. That's right. And really, really heartfelt messages. And you actually then realise, you know what, this can't get refused. But then going all the way through to obviously the London Mayor and all that sort of stuff, it has dragged out. But I think when we do finally have that first game at Plough Lane, we can look back and go, do you know what, we did it the hard way. I know Eric did say early on that this, you know, it won't always be plain sailing. We may get some knockbacks. There's a lot of stuff to go through. Eric, as usual, was not lying. You know what, I think he knew there was going to be some hardship ahead. And what I would say is, you know, I just say the heroes of the week should be the John Trust Board and the Football Club Board who've put a lot of work in. But I have to say, Eric looks like he really has. I don't know about you, but if you look at, I looked at 2014 when he had an interview, and I looked at him today. He's gone through the mill. He must have had some real long days. You know what I mean? I think he's aged more than that in that period.
I hope this isn't your Tony Blair, doesn't he look tired moment there, Stu?
No, but you just think, you know what, it looks like he's aged. I can only imagine the amount of, you know, Eric is not a young man, we all know that. But him, along with a lot of other people, but had a lot of work in, do you know what I mean? And I'm pleased in a way. Eric, I like Eric. I sometimes think he gets all the praise when there's a lot of stuff going on in the background, but I can imagine with his background, he's been involved in this heavily.
No, absolutely he has. And I'm glad you mentioned there the meeting that was broadcast live, wasn't it? Streamed live, taking us back to that evening, because I'd just like to reference, if you have not listened to episode 21 of the podcast, can you believe that? What are we today, 112? So episode 21 was when we reviewed that evening, thanks to a lot of help actually from Paul Raymond that evening, who was down there recording lots of reaction from our fans, which is all on that episode. So if you go onto YouTube, because YouTube, did you know this, Stu? YouTube is, obviously not, because I don't know what that noise was, but the, YouTube is the only full archive of the 9 Years podcast. It's the only place you can get every single episode there ever has been of the show.
Yeah.
So if you go onto YouTube, search for 9 Warriors podcast, episode 21, One Night in Morden. It's an hour long. Have a listen to that. We review and remember that evening in detail. And that, for me, like I said, that was the key moment for me. But looking through this list, some of the things that have gone on, I forgot about Sadiq Khan, great fan of his, who actually wanted to block the move when he was MP for Tooting, wasn't he?
That's right.
He wanted to block it, but he wanted to review
He listened,
it.
didn't he? He listened, yeah.
He wasn't going to wave it straight through. Or then when he became London Mayor after Boris Johnson, he didn't seem to have any issues with it. But there weren't any issues to have by that point, was it? Merton Council had already given it the green light. So, but yeah, we do forget that Boris Johnson, actually, the previous Mayor of London, put the biggest block, didn't he? Totally, just didn't want to have to make a decision on it.
No, do you know what? It's really funny when you talk about the podcast there as well, is that we've been quite, we obviously started the podcast with our first season now, aren't we? And we've been really lucky in a way, because I don't think we could have started a podcast at any better timing with, returning to Flower Lane, the playoffs final victory and all those sort of things.
Alexis's rise to prominence.
Yeah, no, of course. But I remember that night very well, because it was one of the ones we weren't as popular, believe it or not. I can't believe we were never popular. But we had a very small Twitter following, and like I say, Paul Raymond did a lot of great coverage for us. And I remember my phone going off like a Christmas tree, because the amount of people we were retweeting, and we had a lot of followers that evening, then the podcast. So in a way, there's some milestones for us as well that we've had along the way that have helped us become more popular with our fans.
Yeah, literally dozens and dozens of listeners every
dozens
week.
and
It's
dozens
great. Dozens
who listen 3 or 4 times a piece.
Is there anything else you wanted to add about this? Looking through the time zones?
No, it's just really like I say,
timelines.
It's just thinking about 3 years. It feels a bit longer than that, but 3 years is basically taken since the application was submitted for us to get 3 years and 2 days to be exact, for us to get from an application to the S106 being done. So I think from now, from what I understand, there's going to be a celebration at the home game on Saturday with a few guests of honours and stuff like that. I hope the club have something planned and have a real good celebration with us as fans. Even Neil Ardley was smiling on Wednesday, talking about 2.5 years could be playing back at Plough Lane. So I'm hoping it's given everybody now that little bit of a kick up the backside to go, do you know what, we are 2.5 years away from going back to Plough Lane. Let's just make sure we enjoy the ride now, because I think this is going to be this is going to be the fun bit. This is going to be the fun bit now.
Absolutely. Just again, an aside, off topic for the moment, but I suppose we have to drop in. Neil Ardley, yes, looking very, very happy, as you would expect. Has been helped by a recent upturn in our form, really, well, certainly in our performance levels up to the fans, and pressure has really eased on him, hasn't it? Considering really under the microscope about 6 weeks ago, really has, and it's purely because of the work he's doing with the team. You don't really hear that conversation. Is not one that we're hearing at the moment. So
no, he's not got lucky or anything like that. He's changed formation. You could say you listen to the fans. He's his own man, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? He's a stubborn person. We all know that, but that's why he's been successful. He's a football manager. But yeah, good luck to him now. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want him to be sacked or anything. I thought he deserved respect for what he'd achieved, and he's turned it around himself. So this hope continues, and we have a cracking Christmas.
And it's helped his cause, no doubt, that we have got a glamour tie in the FA Cup away at Spurs. But you are not a happy man, are you?
You're right. Originally, I wasn't happy because I could not get to a Saturday fixture because I stupidly double-booked myself. So I will not lie, I was a little bit of a...
Double-booked yourself with Priscilla, again.
I sort of saw Spurs' name number come out. I knew we were 53. Saw it on obviously when they parade the ball, and you think, great. So whilst a lot of, you can imagine yourself and a lot of my mates are jumping around the living room.
Dancing around our living rooms.
Dancing. I was sitting there thinking, great, plum fixture, can't go. But then within about 10, 15 minutes, one of my mates texted me and went, "Stu, don't worry, they're playing West Ham on a Thursday night. There's no way they're playing on Saturday as well." And I was like, thank you. But then, I suppose, when you draw a team that's a Premiership team, a top, you could argue now Spurs are a top 4 Premiership team, you sort of think, ka-ching. I was a romantic of the FA Cup, but if we're gonna say, well, Spurs are a romantic game, then why are we going to Wembley in the third round of the FA Cup? Yeah, sort of the romance is gone the moment that Wembley is used for league fixtures, in my opinion. But I was just a little bit frustrated when I saw the £10 ticket prices come out. Not for the fact that I'd have paid 30 quid to go to watch that game, because I know we get a decent split of the gate. But I just feel now that it's not the potential revenue game that maybe we all thought when we got the draw.
Here's where we're going to disagree, I think, because my first thought when I saw the draw come out, when I realised, was, oh my word, we're going to be playing Tottenham. That was all. That was it. I didn't think of anything other than that. When you get through to the third round, this is the third time we've done it now, you basically just want to play a Premier League team. That is what you want. Or Luton, basically. So, once we got that, happy days. Last season, I think all the big names had already been drawn out by the time we came out, and we were sort of left thinking, if we can't have the big Premier League team, who would we like to have? And we got very lucky. We said we'd want Sutton. That was the most appealing draw that was left in there. This year, Tottenham, great draw. You're thinking playing Tottenham. I agree. Yes, I'd much rather it was at White Hart Lane. I think we all would. I'm not too keen on this return to Wembley stuff that I'm seeing a lot of in the promotion of this game either, because I don't consider it a turn to Wembley. Like you say, it's FA Cup third round day. It just happens to be that the game for this season is being played at Wembley. It's the fact we're playing Spurs is the draw for me, not where it is. But that was it. It was the Premier League team. I didn't think money, if I'm being honest. I'm not sure where that factored into my thinking.
Yeah, I'll be truthful. Me, for a League One club, if we were a Championship club, well, actually, no, it's going back to the old days when I was in my younger years. You'd want the worst club in the competition. You're a Premiership club. You got a chance to win the competition. As a League One club, we don't have a chance. You look at last year. Lincoln had a great one last year, didn't they? Had some good games, TV money, and by all accounts, got around about £1 million out of their FA Cup journey. And well done to them; they deserve that. Sutton, as it pains me to say, done very similar. But I think it was the fact that if you're going to draw a top 4 club, we just drew the wrong one, in my personal opinion. If you've got an Arsenal, you're guaranteed a sellout. If you get a Man United, you're guaranteed a sellout. If you get Liverpool, you're probably guaranteed a sellout. The only one, Man City, don't really fancy going. Man City would have been a return to...
Yeah, I mean, I would just say on Arsenal, I'm not sure you would get it. You might get a sellout in name, but... Well,
from my understanding, it's included in their season ticket.
Yeah, so I suppose you'd get the money, wouldn't you? You wouldn't necessarily have a full stadium.
Yeah, I suppose, and I've had this conversation with a few people, and they've gone, "Oh, you're losing the romance of it." And I go back to my point. The romance of the FA Cup went when they tried to stop the replays recently. We don't need replays. Let's play semi-finals at Wembley. That was one of my biggest things. Was I remember when Wembley used to be. That was it. You played at Wembley when you got to a final, not when you got to a semi-final. Where's the So I suppose for me, the romance of the FA Cup went many years ago. And for me, I think we've got a great draw, but realistically, we're not going to do as well out of it as what I would have thought. And being the very hard-centred person I am, I wanted to have as much money in the transfer window to help Neil Hardy with his squad to make sure we stay in League One, to make sure we're a League One club when we get back to Power Lane. So that's probably where my little bit of a gripe is. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't say I'm over-ecstatic about going back to Wembley to watch it.
No, I'm not.
And people might go, what? It's the home of football. Yeah.
It's not.
It used to be the home of football. I think we could rent it out. We could apply to the FA and go, could we hire it out, please? They will hire it to anybody. Look at the NFL.
I think, my issue with Wembley, not to say it's not the home of football, I think it is for the big occasions, absolutely it is. But on this occasion, for this game, I don't think you can term it the home of football. I also think once Spurs have left, Chelsea are the next ones in line, aren't they? To spend their time there while their stadium's getting whatever they're doing to it. So, yes, from that angle of, I get what you're saying. I do understand you're thinking the potential windfall is not as big as we could have perhaps got elsewhere. But saying that, it's still surely going to be considerably bigger than it would have been had we drawn, and there's a whole host of other names I could read out here, if we'd have drawn Barnsley away and Mansfield. Do you know what I mean? So many teams we could have had that would not have gotten us this amount of income.
Oh, I agree totally. I'm sort of also a believer of fate sometimes, or you get a certain, you get a chance. So, we could have. If my thinking is that this is probably the 1 in 10 of drawing a top club, and at 1 in 10 we've just missed out on a big one. So think about, the 1 in 10 was probably Liverpool, the home game.
Yeah,
you couldn't get much better than that. Do you know what I mean? That was a romance of playing Liverpool, third round, live TV game. The irony is, and this, we're going to go through about cost. And again, don't think, it's all about money. I know football isn't always better. It's about love of the game and stuff like that. I'm just in FA Cup third round for me is all about maximising, get the best draw financially. You're not going to win it. That's just me. But the irony is that we potentially could make just about the same amount of money for our home games as Liverpool because of the TV money than we actually potentially could get from revenue on the gate from Wembley.
So, yes, you've looked through. You've been crunching the numbers, haven't you?
So yeah, and
explain how that can be.
Yes, and this isn't. Hey, look, if anyone knows me and numbers, will know that I'm a little bit way off here, but I'm
That's
not
not
far
true,
off.
Actually, I've heard that when it comes to numbers, Stu, you could put a bin bag over you and you'd start smelling of roses.
So, we've been given 7,700 at £10 for adults and £5 for kids. There's also a family ticket for 2 adults and 2 kids at £20, which I think is really good when you have a family. So
it's no good if you don't have a family, is it?
But that's good. That's good, that sort of side of it. But what I've basically got on is I've based it on an 80-20 ratio. So 80% being adults, 20% being kids. And again, we could argue that that's my rough thinking. So I've worked out basically on that adage, if we got 30,000, so the reason I've gone for 30,000 is recently Spurs played Barnsley in the League Cup, was midweek on a Tuesday night in September. Their attendance was 23,000. I think there probably wasn't that many loads of away fans. I think 30,000 should be able to fill at least at Wembley. If you look at that, that basically means that total revenue would be about 270,000. The split is 45% to each side, and then 10% going to the FA Governing Board fund. So on a 30,000, we'd get 121,000 from the gate receipts. If you go to 40,000, we get 162,000. If you go to 50,000, 202,000. And the 55,000, which I believe is the limit, from what I'm hearing, then we get 222,000. Bear in mind, for a live TV game, each club gets 144,000. So it's not even a TV game. So if we'd been lucky enough to get a TV game, then you would see the money really come in. But it does show you that based on the £10 per ticket, and it's not the first time Spurs have done this, by the way. They did this for the Barnsley game as well. It really does take away that potential extra profit we may have got. We don't know how Spurs fans would have taken to go to watch us at Wembley in the third round.
I didn't realise they'd done £10 tickets for the Barnsley game.
Yeah, I had a look because that's the sort of person I am. I just thought, I don't want to moan about it, but they did. It's a Tuesday night in September. Were Barnsley fans going to really travel? Nah, not really. And the reason, it's an interesting one because when I think about why has it been reduced to £10, I was working for myself, okay, do they get rubbish attendances then for previous FA Cup games at home? So bearing in mind their last home games would have been at White Hart Lane.
Yeah.
So last season, 31,000 against Villa, and they near our full houses, and 31,000 versus Wigan. I suppose my argument is, why have we gone to £10? Is that something we've agreed with? Would we have got more money? Would Spurs still get 30,000? Because they did against Wigan. You could argue we're going to take our allocation. And I think we'll take our allocation even at £20, even at £25, I think we'd have taken our allocation. So I'm just curious, who agreed a £10 price. That's how I'm looking at it.
I agree with you that we'd have sold our allocation for whatever it would, for £25-30 even. Spurs fans, I don't know what they'd have been prepared to pay for it. Bear in mind, we're not only competing with them playing at Wembley in the Premier League every other week, they've got Champions League as well. So they've had Real Madrid, Borussia Dortmund there already. Who have they got in the draw? Did they get Juventus, did they?
I believe so, yeah.
So that's what we're competing against for fans that are buying single match tickets, if you know what I mean. So I guess £10. Yeah, I mean we could argue £15. Is anyone that's going to buy a ticket at £10 going to say no to one at 15? Probably not. But I guess it's a nice number, isn't it? To say for a ticket, and everyone can go, oh great, what a great offer they've done there. And do you know what? I must say for my part, £10, absolutely fantastic. We've got Christmas, we've got Portsmouth away, we've got away the following week, Gillingham possibly in the middle of that. So I'm not.
And do you know what? I can't disagree with you on that. And that's from my point of view, I'm going to pay £10. And someone said to me, "Should you just put the money you were going to pay for the Spurs ticket to the club?" Fair point. And the club have come out with that. Interestingly, today or Wednesday, if you're listening to us on the day we release it, have come up about that. If you want to donate the money you would have paid in difference, then please do that. But I think you're right. They're £10 at the stage of season, bearing in mind that we've got a full Christmas, loads of games going to them. It's Christmas, it's January, it's always more expensive and people run out of money very quickly. Great. But I just suppose from being a selfish League One fan who wants my club to get as much money out of potential windfall of a game, I'm just greedy. And I just feel in a way we've just, I don't think we're going to make as much money from it. Thing is, it all depends on the ticket sales. And judging by how our ticket sales are going with our CRM, there'll be nobody there.
Yes, well, I suppose there's so many things to talk about, isn't there? For a week where we didn't have a game, we've
done well, we've done well.
Speaking of loads, because let's talk about the CRM very briefly. I don't myself have an issue with the CRM, and I'll tell you why I don't have an issue. Because of all the horror stories I've heard, I've not even attempted. I've never tried. And I'm in the position, fortunately, where I can get someone to go for me down to the stadium in person and collect tickets. It's just so much easier to do it that way around. And I think if everyone could do it that way, they would, because it solves and eliminates a lot of the stresses involved in using the online ticketing service, including, in the past, do not forget, tickets that don't arrive, whatever, you're relying on the postal service as well and things like that. So I personally haven't had an issue, but the horror stories are coming out from a lot of people, and it isn't as simple as a lot of people I'm seeing are saying, well, I've had it easy, it's not been a problem for me. I'm sure it hasn't, and of course it must work for a lot of people, otherwise the whole system would have to be taken down. But I think there are elements into the way we've decided to go about selling these tickets which are causing the issues. So not just buying your ticket or your two tickets, which seems straightforward enough. I have actually gone through the process of finding the tickets, seeing how to allocate and such, and then not buying. But the process up to that point has worked for me, not a problem.
Yeah.
But then when you're talking about linking multiple different people, you can merge applications so you can get tickets sitting next to each other. Then this is becoming more difficult. Along with the fact, I must say, there is actually one issue I had, which was forgetting my login details. I asked for a reminder for my password to be emailed to me. Still haven't received that email. Luckily, fortunately, what happened is I had a light bulb moment and I remembered what I had signed up with. So I was able to log in with my original details.
Yeah.
But the email I had sent never arrived, or requested never arrived. So that is an issue. But the other side of it, as I say, the logistics of trying to be very, very nice to people. And it's a great thing from the club to say, look, we will get you as many seats together as we can for people that want to sit in big groups or want to sit together. That's fantastic. It's really nice of them that they've gone to that. But there's a practical consideration. We know that the admin side of the club is under-resourced. There's so much pressure on the people in there.
Big time, yeah.
I don't think anyone would have had any complaints if they said, look, it's 2 tickets per season ticket holder, Don's Trust member, whatever, and buy your 2 tickets and you'll get sent or delivered whatever's next in the pack.
Or buy a match day, ask for extra volunteers. They've done that before, extra volunteers after a game.
Possibly, yeah.
I know it puts more pressure on the volunteers, and I've got a lot of mates who do that as well. I suppose from my point of view, we've signed the S106, which means we are going to now go into a bigger stadium. With bigger stadium, you look at new fans. New fans may go, oh, look, they just got S106. We're going to have a club down the road in 2 years. Oh, 1 second, they're playing Wembley. Let's go and get a ticket. I don't sometimes want their first experience of Wimbledon being a CRM system that doesn't, like you say, do an email, doesn't do a ticket, doesn't make it easy to log on. we are a small club. That's the bottom line of it. Do you know what I mean? That's the sad side of it. But we are trying to be a bigger club by moving into a bigger ground, which we'll eventually need to. We said this before. We need to look at our backroom staff, our administration, who do a great job. I know a few of them already. They do a great job, but there's only a few of them. And judging by people saying they can't get through and they've left messages and that, let's just think there's so many things going on in a busy period. It's just not surprised you can't get through to them. Mm. So they have a thankless task. And I bet when they saw Spurs away, they probably thought, thank you very much. A year after Sutton, you've now chucked us another one.
Well, wait till we beat... As I said, the big one's going to be when we beat Spurs. And the day we get drawn away, the biggest one is going to be when we get drawn away to Bournemouth, because as unattractive as that fixture would be for all of us 5 years ago, simply because they are in the Premier League, lots of people would want to get a ticket for that game, should we get happen, and what can they give us? 1,500 in their tiny stadium? That'll be great fun. Sutton, we sort of got away with it in the end.
Well, I had a laugh as well. So, of course, I don't know if we've read through all the press releases from Wednesday on the S106 being signed, but Eric's in an interview and basically saying about, what prestige friendly would you have to open up the ground? And I think either he mentioned Barcelona or they mentioned Barcelona obviously being the biggest fan-owned club in the world. And he went, why not? He goes, we've achieved everything we want to. We never seem to fail with that. Why not go and play Barcelona? And then I suddenly thought, it's going to be 11,000 potential and 9,000. Can you imagine people not getting tickets for the prestige friendly? Mm-hmm. Can you imagine the fun and games of selecting how you get? And this is the fun about it now. I know Brighton fans that when the stadium was starting being built, all of a sudden sponsors all of a sudden started coming in because they wanted to be in the foot in the door. Then all of a sudden you wanted to have fans. You go, 1 second, I want a season ticket now because I want to be guaranteed a season ticket when I get to Plough Lane. So there's going to be some unhappy people.
Yeah, I mean, from a purely selfish point of view, though, I've already arranged that should it be Barcelona in the first game at Plough Lane, Lady Wimbledon said she'll get me a ticket, so it's fine.
Oh dear, she'll bring a cake along with it.
She will do indeed, and that's not a euphemism either. The ticketing thing, though, I just want to go back to this point. Back in the days of us being... Because if you think a lot of our fans are Premier League fans from 20 years ago, and away tickets... I don't know if you remember, Stu, you'd go up to the ticket office at Selhurst Park, whatever, and you'd go, can I have 2 tickets for Manchester United? And they would say yes, and they would hand you 2 tickets to Manchester United. Yeah. And that was just the way it was done. I wonder if a lot of our admin side is done with a... I don't mean this in a bad way, because it's going to sound it when I first come out with it. A little bit of a non-league mentality, in that a lot of our away ticket or ticket purchasing issues when we were coming through the leagues were very, very straightforward, and people pretty much got what they wanted because of the accommodating nature of non-league and the fact that the demand wasn't particularly outstripping supply at that time. So that way of thinking has perhaps eked over now into this League One third level of the English football club that we have now, but it can't sadly. As great as it would be, and as I know we want to say we want to do things differently, and you could argue I'm being a bit hypocritical maybe because I sometimes say we're a fans club and we should do something slightly differently, and here is one instance where we're trying to. I'm just trying to say basically we wouldn't mind. I don't think anyone is out there going, do you know what, if I can't sit with 7 of my mates, I don't mind. That's fine. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, but I think if you think about back to Palace, and I remember them days very, very well when they didn't like us at all in the ticket office, and they would treat you with a little bit of them again.
Disdain.
Yeah, but I remember the size of that ticket office. It was a ticket office. We don't have a ticket office. We have a room with administration staff in. That's the scale. That's the scale we are. That's all side of it. But like I say, these next 2.5 years, 3 years, we are going to see an influx of new fans wanting to come along to Wimbledon. There's no doubt about it in my mind. We have a ground that already is sold out, mainly through season tickets. So we are going to see an influx. That's the exciting side of it. I'm looking forward to seeing sponsorship deals that get signed, and that's the fun side. And Brighton had an upturn in form, an upturn in revenue as well before they went to their new ground. I'm hoping. Let me talk about money again, quite like a businessman, don't I? But I'm hoping we'll see that side of it as well.
Stu, I'm going to be honest with you. You don't sound like a businessman on any level, unless you are selling bin bags that make you smell like roses.
Which there's a market for.
Apparently so. Right, we are running extraordinarily late, but we are...
Sounding great.
Yeah, we are indeed. So let's get Abdu out the way. Abdu, are you out the way?
Oh, by the way, I did fall for your little prank as well.
Oh, dear me,
I couldn't believe I fell for it.
Andy Pierce.
I was literally about to text both of you and go, I can't believe you guys are sorted something out. And then of course you went, it was a bit of a one.
Yeah.
So I pleased that. But then he still got it, didn't he? So I remember properly.
He did it. Yeah, he did. Mark did very well in the end and got it. And if you have not listened to last week's show yet, because Stu was absent, Mark Hendricks filled in for him, and we did a little bit of tease, didn't we? And we played Abdu You and fixed it so that Mark would guess it correctly after the first cryptic clue, which Stu, you've never done.
I've never got a chance of doing either.
No, I don't think you can get it today, but I do think
thanks.
You will get... I think you'll guess the player eventually by the end of the 3 clues today.
I'm a bit rubbish at this game. I feel very under pressure in this game now.
Well, don't think
because I'm not very good. But then, hey, you know what? It's a game by a player that doesn't play that much now, so we'll soon figure another game.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
As I say, Jimmy Abdu, where are you?
We could do that, but then that would just be polio go all over again.
Yeah. Oh, the games we've had.
We're going to bring back the birthdays game one day.
Yes.
Got to do that.
Yes.
Absolutely. Should we do that next week? Let's do that next week as a early Christmas present for our listeners. Anyway. Oh, I've said it. Damn, I said that word. Right. Abdu You. First clue, cryptic clue. First of all, Jimmy thought he was going to see this player who was a character in The Simpsons or even Father Ted. This is so cryptic and obtuse. You've got no chance.
And I don't really watch any of them.
Either of them.
No, I think The Simpsons have never got the understanding of it, and Father Ted can't understand a word they were saying.
Which probably casual racism there, that's all what we like. Okay.
No, I've got a clue.
No, I didn't think so. Right, second one. Having played for Wimbledon in what is now the Championship, this player has since gone on to play in all 5 top divisions.
Ooh, it's a Championship, so he could have been one of the... Oh, dear. So I'm thinking he could have been either our Norwegian quota that we had. Mm-hmm. Could it be someone like Wally Padilla? Just because
he wasn't Norwegian, though.
No, but I'm just saying that my mind went elsewhere. Could it have been Trond Anderson, who again was Norwegian? Oh dear. Played in all top 5 divisions, so who was good enough to play in all top 5 divisions?
When I say this, you do realise I mean from Premier League to Conference.
Oh,
not the Italian Premier League or something like that.
Oh, that's narrowed it down a bit, doesn't it?
Right.
Championship 1, 2, 3. So someone obviously had a sliding career. Joby McAnuff.
It's correct. Do you know what? Normally I would say, wait to the third clue. No. You got it after the second clue. I have to just say, well done.
Because he went down Wimbledon, Reading, Leyton Orient.
Yeah.
And of course, Leyton Orient went to the conference. So
indeed. Well done.
God, see, I had a holiday and all of a sudden a bit of sunshine. And my brain started to work again.
I thought you would get it, and I'm very happy you have. So the third clue would have been midfielder who scored his first Wimbledon goal in 2001 in a 3-2 defeat at Millmoor against Rotherham.
See, I might struggle with that. It might confuse me a bit more.
Possibly. But midfielder, 2001, I thought would have been. Yeah. And then you didn't get a chance for the anagram this week, which is a shame. G. Muff Bacon.
Yeah, I would have got on that.
Yeah.
Joe, it's funny you say about Millmoor. It's one ground I was really gutted that I missed. It was the old Rotherham ground, which I hear was an absolute dump. But,
it was.
But the funny thing is, they're the grounds that I love because that, to me, is British football, English football. The shells.
Absolutely.
As they say.
I remember going to Millmoor and walking up this really narrow alley to the away turnstile. You had broken glass which had been cemented into the top of the wall.
Love it.
It was great. And then you walk in proper old school ground, and possibly the only chance I think I'd have had to go there to watch Wimbledon. It would have been, certainly in my lifetime. And it was an experience. The great thing is that the following year I was at uni in Luton, and I met a girl from Rotherham who was really doing a tour of the worst places in England. I thought I'd escape Rotherham, this horrible northern bleak outlet place, and Luton. That's what the bright lights of Luton. Yeah, the culture.
It's some of the grounds that have sort of gone now. So obviously we're talking about White Hart Lane, it's gone now, we've got to Wembley. But if it was, the one ground that I used to love until one day in, early 2000 was the Dell. Yes. Because it has it's the ground that I've been, I think it's one of the most away grounds that I've been to the most. In terms of if you got stuck in the away end behind the goal, they had 3 pens behind the goal. And it was like, if we go back now, if football fans think they haven't got any luxury nowadays, crikey, go to the Dell. But they stuck you in a pen behind the goal, which felt like you were being hurdled in like cattle.
Hurdled in? That would have been great if you had to hurdle your way into the terrace.
Bundled in, that's the word. Oh dear. Tommy's going on field day when I see him on football on Saturday. He's going to laugh his head off. But even to the extent of the Dell, when, obviously, for that fateful day when we got relegated, if there was ever a fire at the Dell, the stand behind the goal on the side was literally single file. It felt like. Yeah. And if I seriously say, some football fans now who've gone to Premiership grounds like Old Trafford had a chance to go to the Dell, they would have gone and what the hell is that all about? It was a death trap all day long, but had the best character.
I remember being there for that final Premier League game, and I was in the front row of the upper tier.
Yeah.
And the whatever you want to call it. The ledge, shall we say, totally made of wood and opposite the sun. So you couldn't rest your arms on it because it was too hot. And I'm thinking if it got much hotter, that would just catch fire. It's totally made of wood. It was like going many years ago, and my brother who was listening will love this story, going to Craven Cottage 25 years ago to watch Fulham play Liverpool in the Cup, and in the middle of a thunderstorm. And Fulham's old Stevenage Road? Yeah, that's it, that one. Yeah, just completely wooden seats and everything, and just thinking, do you know what, if lightning strikes in a particular place, we're in big trouble. What a cheery idea. But
you know what, we'll probably do this at one point, go back to our worst experience at Wimbledon, but I still remember Southampton I still remember Southampton so vividly, even though it was 20-odd years ago. No, it wasn't that. Well, not far.
Yeah, it's not
far off it now. But I remember I was waiting for the team to come off the coach to the entrance, which was opposite to where we were sitting. And I remember within 2 minutes realising we were relegated because they all got off the coach. John Hartson, Carl Court, Jason Yule, looked like they were just going for a Sunday kick around. And I remember thinking, oh God, we're in trouble. I knew from that minute we were down, just because of their body language just said to me they weren't up for it anywhere near as what we were as fans. But I think by the end the damage had been done, the Norwegian taken over, and it was a thankless task.
Can you believe that some of the stadiums that were in the Premier League that year, if you think of Valley Parade and the Dell, Vicarage,
Highbury.
Anyway.
Anyone who never got a chance to go to Highbury, that was the best ground ever. And we also used to win it all the time.
My memories of Highbury are pretty much centred on a couple of 5-goal hammerings.
That was without the Invincibles.
FA Cup semi-final where we didn't turn up.
Yeah, that's without Zola. There were some excuses for there with Viardi. But I remember going there winning 1-0, Dean Holsworth scoring, I remember Robbie Earl scoring a lob from God knows how far out. Yes. We also used to get a midweek as well because, of course, it was the local, but it was a London derby. Oh, those were the days. Those were the days.
Those local midweek games, as we spoke about the other week, they just don't happen anymore, do they?
No.
No, sadly not. Of course, I remember that very famous FA Cup semi-final, despite the fact I was only 3 at the time.
Of course.
Right. We have gone so long and rambled on so much. Our Wigan preview is going to be condensed into this.
Yeah.
Prediction.
Oh, help. Wigan are a decent side. I think it's a case of what Wigan team turn up. Hopefully the rubbish Wigan team turn up. It's not going
to be the rugby league team.
They have a lot of match winners. Will Grigg, Nick Powell, I think, is an excellent player. Even on the bench, they have an excellent team. Wigan have to play very well to win the game, but these are games that I think at the moment we're suited for. So I'm quite hopeful. The buzz of the new ground, that all sort of thing, I'm hoping will create a feel-good factor. And of course, on top of the FA Cup draw.
My question was prediction.
I thought you asked that. I wasn't too sure if you had or not. I thought I don't want to do a prediction now. You'll go back to me your next question. My prediction is a hard-fought 1-0 win.
Oh wow! I'm going to go for a 0-0.
Wow. You can't keep doing 0-0s.
Why not? It
It's
seems
safe.
to work.
Yeah, it's safe.
Yeah, it is very safe. And any other game in League One standing out for you?
I've not looked.
Okay, I'll just tell you, Northampton Warsaw is for me.
Really? I'm going in there, actually.
There's some great games, but I picked out that one because it was different. And Northampton are really at home to Warsaw. Would want to look at that as similar way we did and think opportunity for points there.
I tell you, an interesting game, if you look at it, is this couple, Blackburn Charlton. Charlton are back with a couple of dodgy results. Gillingham Bristol Rovers, because Gillingham are now going to start putting some form together, have Bristol Rovers turn the corner. And Southend at home to Bradford City, who we have the following weekend.
Oh, course, yeah.
So, because I don't know about you, but I looked at the home game we had last week before last. What game was that? That was the cup game. The Charlton game. The Charlton game. I remember looking at the fixture list we have up and seeing Wigan, Bradford, and thinking, oh God, yeah, there's some tough games coming up. So, I mean, Southend, how do they bounce back from their defeat against Bristol Rovers? So I think there's some interesting games this week.
And there's a huge game in the Women's Premier League Division, South East Division 1, when, having beaten Leyton Orient 3-0 last Sunday at Gander Green Lane, it's the reverse fixture this coming Sunday at 2 p.m. at the Marlin Stadium. So if you fancy travelling over to East London, as if anyone fancies travelling to East London. Have you ever been to East London, by the way?
Yeah, Leyton Orient.
Yeah, there's no rush to go back, is there?
No.
But yes, if you can, go and support the ladies who, their 3-0 win over Leyton Orient, by the way, just extends their lead at the top of the table. So another victory would pretty much, surely, be like Man City in the Premier League. It's all over before Christmas.
And they're doing so well this year, aren't they? Especially after last year, acclimatising in the league. They just got promoted into to follow the form in. Hopefully we should be over there in the new year and do a feature on the ladies and stuff like that. It would be lovely.
Yeah, we were hoping to do that a couple of weeks back, weren't we? Until
we were
scuppered by postponement. So
yeah, but we'll make sure we do that. And by the time we get there, they'll probably be champions, and we can just all have the champagne, and that's it. Game done.
Or good. Speaking of champagne, I don't know why. Well, anyway, Don's Trust. There's no link there whatsoever.
Nothing.
The worst segue in the history of segues. Don's Trust AGM is next Thursday, so yes, we will have a podcast next Thursday, as we always do. But just to give you a little prior warning, of course, at Kings Meadow, 7:30, as usual, all the usual. It is the Don's Trust AGM, which was delayed. It was meant to be today, the 14th, if you are listening on the day of release to this podcast. But there are just some things to update you, so if you could get down to the AGM, that would be great. We do encourage you to do so. Of course, the election we mentioned has happened. It happened a little while ago. And there are 5 new faces, I believe, but only one that's actually a new face. So 4 returned to have maintained their positions on the board. But due to the retirement of, not full retirement, he stepped down for a little, maybe for a couple of years, I'm not sure. David Grounds, who's been on the board for about a decade now. Been very, very busy. Done a lot of things behind the scenes. I think Stu might be one of the names you mentioned earlier that perhaps doesn't get the limelight so much, but it's very, very busy.
Done a lot of good work.
Yeah. So thank you very much for all your hard work, David, on behalf of all of 90s Podcast and the Don's Trust membership. But we are very happy, as sad as we are to see David go, very happy that Cormac van der Hoeven has finally got onto the board. So Cormac is on there. We will be, hopefully, the plan is to speak to all the new, in inverted commas, board members in the new year. We tried to do it leading up to this AGM, but schedules around this time of year are impossible for everyone. So we're going to make sure we speak to everyone, including Charlie Williams, the new youth engagement co-optee, in the very near future in 2018.
Yeah, and we had Cormac, the pleasure of Cormac's company on the Facebook Live the other week, didn't we?
We did indeed.
Always great entertainment. Always wears the flashiest fashion wear. He had a red shirt on, didn't he? Which just was great. But Cormac's a lovely guy. I'm pleased he's got on there. He's got some really good ideas. He's enthusiastic. Also has a good connection through his work and stuff with the younger fan base, which I think is important. And and we're going to be down there next week, aren't we? Down to the Don's Trust meeting.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing updates for Don's Trust Web Jam, and you're going to be sitting next to me pretending to do stuff.
Every time we go, what they just say?
Yeah, Stu will be playing Football Manager.
Yeah, so if you hear a little bit of a cheer in the corner or a moan, that'd be me moaning at my backroom staff are rubbish again.
Yeah, sack your backroom staff. It's always
sack the backroom staff.
But there is, for this AGM, we should just mention, bits of policy and all that sort of business, but also some stage and funding issues, so very worth coming down to if you can. That is us done for this week, Stu, because we have gone so late. It's unreal, which is mad because we didn't even have football to talk about this week. So we can talk rubbish.
Yeah, there's also a week away, so no game, enthusiastic. Yeah, why not? I know that'll be gone by next week.
Yeah, back to normal service will be resumed next week, but there will be updates from the game with Wigan at 9YRS Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget, if you don't already, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/9YRS Podcast. You get live updates from Kings Meadow. Aside from that, all that's left to do, I can't think, there's nothing else I have to add, is there, Stu? No, that's it. So thank you very much for joining me.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you to everyone once again for listening. Because we've gone so late, unfortunately, Abdul Ayu has had to be cut out of this week's show. It will make its return next week. That is it for us. Join us next week. We'll be speaking to Watford manager Marco Silva about discipline. Alexa Bliss, bag first, milk last, and we will speak to you again next week.
Sing about girls and cars, sneaking in the bars, drunk fist fights and